Pete Najarian, I teased what you were doing before the break, and now it is time. Because your brother yesterday mentioned that he was seeing an enormous amount of call buying in Apple. Mm-hmm. You obviously see the same thing, considering you guys have the same firm.
I do.
And make some of the same moves. So you bought more Apple calls?
Yeah.
Sometimes. It's important.
I did.
Sometimes.
Yes.
You don't always like him. I'm not trying to suggest that you always like him. I mean, your brothers, after all.
I do not always like him.
Sometimes stuff happens. I mean, I have a brother. I understand. Right. But you bought more Apple calls.
You get it. Yeah, absolutely. And, Scott, it's just amazing how every single day, it seems like, of the week, we continue to see Apple calls, including today. Just as we're sitting here and I was listening to Steve Leisman, a buyer of Apple calls came in again, 15,000 of these December 23rd, 177.5 calls. It's just a daily thing that we are seeing with Apple, and they continue to come. Now, I'm okay with the fact that the stock has pulled back. Obviously, yesterday with that big run up to 182, it pulled back, and today it's nearly 172 or wherever it is trading. But they have been so right so consistently that I, of course, am going to try to follow along with that as well. So it gives me the opportunity at least to look and see, and maybe if the stock does pull back, I can jump in. I have not grabbed these particular strikes yet, but it's something I'm definitely looking at. I've got multiple different positions right now in Apple that go all the way out to January. So I just, as long as they continue to buy and they continue to be right, Scott, I'm going to be riding along with them. So I've already got the stock, and I've been adding all these calls.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it also just speaks to, as I was discussing with Mike Wilson, the ability of Apple, maybe more than anything else, to be so incredibly resilient, Pete, in the face of some turmoil, to just be able to march towards new record highs, even when there's no legitimate fundamental reason at stake at the particular time.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I remember a lot of people were getting very nervous when the stock was just pausing, Scott. You know, a couple of months ago it was pausing, and everybody said, Apple's not participating. They're not participating at all. There are other names that are pulling the market up. That is what Apple has been doing now for the last decades, is it makes big runs to the upside. We see it plateau for a while, and then the next leg starts to move to the upside. And that's just been the historic way in which Apple has been trading. So I wasn't overly concerned, as hopefully you remember, throughout this year when we've had those pauses. Eventually, something's going to be the trigger. Something's going to be the catalyst that's going to push it to the upside. But I'll tell you, when I look each and every day, like, for instance, yesterday, they traded 3.2 million contracts in Apple alone, 70% of which were calls. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea. The next closest is 1.5 million with Ford and 1 million with Tesla. So that gives you an idea of just how active it is in Apple on a daily basis. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.